Celebrity Rehab Day 31. Today was an occupational therapy day. I usually have it on Tuesdays or Thursdays with my solo therapy, but I didn't get the chance to do this week, so it got pushed, but I digress. Um, I think it was a good session. We just went over what I talked with my other therapist on Thursday and how they are going to be getting the draft prepared for the email to send off to my employer with the restrictions saying that I cannot go back to working for the city of Yellowknife. And I was just telling her about how, yes, in theory, it's a good thing, but I'm still nervous about it. And she was like, okay, just tell me, what do you think the worst case scenario? Let's talk about it. And so I was like, the worst case scenario is that they're like, fuck no, and they force me to go back anyways. And she was like, well, that's good to know, but legally speaking, they cannot do that. Like, they're not allowed to force you. If there are medical restrictions for you to go back to that position, like what we say is final. And I was like, okay, well, another thing that I'm worried about is like some sort of retaliation, or if I go back to, or when I go back to Yellowknife, still being under surveillance and all of that. And she was like, realistically, we are expecting pushback just because of what we've seen so far and what we've dealt with from your employer, and we're expecting pushback on them finding out that you're not going to be having a meeting with them, but you don't have to deal with that. We're going to be the ones speaking for you. We're going to be the ones communicating so with them, so you're not going to have to throughout any point of this process now that we've put a restriction on your work. And I don't know, I'm still feeling really anxious about it. I was just telling her, I still don't believe this is real. Like, I know I've been saying for a long time that I'm not going back to that fucking job or working for that city, but for it to actually be a possibility now is just like, I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop, honestly. I'm waiting for the next hurdle, for the next fucked up thing to happen. And I don't want to say I'm disappointed in myself because I gotta be gentle with myself, but I thought that after all this work that I've been doing, that I would at least be a little bit more optimistic. But I'm still just very scared. I think now that I know that I'm allowed to be scared and I'm allowing myself to be scared, I'm feeling it more frequently. And this is not like the time when that nigga wouldn't get out of my room and I was like shaking, terrified. This is like just a lingering one. It kind of like haunts me. And so she was like, okay, well, if you know that we know that you're not going back to that job and you know that you don't want to be in Yellowknife for long, what's stopping you from making the move sooner to Halifax? And I was just talking about logistics and like money. I won't say it's the biggest concern because I do have my tax refund coming, and it's a pretty hefty amount. It's enough to set aside for a move, but I was just talking about how I didn't know that it was possible before working at the library. I didn't know that it was possible to be unsafe at a job if you're not like a police officer or a paramedic or like working in a correctional facility and experiencing the harm that I did working at the library. I'm just kind of like, okay, so every workplace can be this unsafe, and I'm having a hard time only linking it to that workplace. Now I just feel like fuck, anywhere I go, I'm under threat. So there's still some work to be done there, but we started looking at jobs because I was also telling her I don't even know what I would do if and when I get to Halifax. Like, I don't feel like I'm good at anything anymore. I'm not passionate about anything, and I feel like I've been out of the workforce for so long. I feel like I forgot how to do everything. And yesterday I was telling my therapist about how one of the things that I'm worried about with going back to work is at my previous job, this fucking library job really did a number on me. But like, there wasn't really like in-depth training there. Like they did walk me through some things, but they really just expected me to know how to do the job. And so when I would make mistakes because I'm learning, I would be like yelled at, or like it would be put in an email, or they'd have meetings about me, or just like publicly embarrassed or like reprimanded. And I guess a lot of my anxiety about starting a new job is like, when I inevitably make mistakes, are they going to treat me the same way that I was treated at the library? And so that's just like another one of my anxieties that I have about working. And so today she was just like, okay, if you feel like you don't have any direction, let's talk about some jobs you've done in the past that you've liked. And I was telling her about how I worked at the art studio, and I really liked that. And when I worked for folk, even though I didn't like the people I was working for, it's very cliquey, I did enjoy doing the social media stuff and communications. And so we started looking at like communications and communication management jobs. And we found one that was like for this queer organization that looked really cool. So we started looking into that. And she was like, even, I'm not saying you have to start applying for jobs now, but just start taking a look at jobs and seeing what's out there, and maybe start by looking at your resume and going over it and seeing what needs to be added, fixed, and maybe reach out to some companies that you like and ask them what kind of positions they'll have come summertime, just so you know you're on their radar. And when you do eventually start interviewing, then you can make sure that their values aligned with who you are. And if you feel like you want to tell your story about how you've worked in a job that wasn't safe for you and didn't provide a safe environment, and how you were um, harmed by because it wasn't like diverse or whatever, if that's something that you feel like you want to share during the process of finding a new job, like that's up to you. But not a lot of people are ready to share their story right away. But just know that you can be a role model with sharing your story. You can be an inspiration, and you're not alone in this, even though it feels like you may be the only one that's ever gone through this. And it has for a long time, until I met my girl Monique at my celebrity rehab. I definitely hadn't met anybody black that's been going through what I go through. I feel like black people don't go off of work for psychological injuries. I think that was, I didn't realize until I'm saying it now, something that I've kind of been ashamed of, like just because of the culture. I feel like my parents immigrated to this country from a place where there was like fucking war, and I'm off of work because of psychological injuries. It seems weak and insane. And I guess that's what I've been telling myself subconsciously, that my injuries aren't real because they're not visible. And even with my job and me being off, like I didn't get a moment of peace. They were constantly trying to get me to prove that I was injured, and it was just been a very, for lack of better words, like I've just been anxious this whole time, and they just been gaslighting me to feel like, oh, we saw her outside and she's doing something. That means she's not injured. And it's like, okay, am I supposed to be just downtrodden and out all the time for my injuries to be real? Am I just supposed to be depressed all the time for my injuries to be real? Will that then make it so you guys believe me if I'm in my house threatening to kill myself every day? And there's a part of me that's just like, maybe I should have just waited until I got stabbed at my job. Then there wouldn't be any question about if my injuries are real. And that just lets me know that I really shouldn't be going back to this job, because I'm not valued as a person at all. I don't even want to say I was valued as a worker. I was only valued when I was doing good work. And even then, it's not like they were really telling me that the work that I was doing was good. I know that I brought a lot. The most that I brought to that job, first of all, was a sense of happiness. I brought joy to that fucking job, okay? To a job that is otherwise very demanding. You don't get much reward from it other than knowing that you get to basically being a social worker. And I didn't sign up to be a fucking social worker. But I think I am going to, start looking at jobs out there just to see what the market is like, and knowing that I might have to take like a pay cut in the beginning. I mean, I'm speaking into existence. I don't want to have to. I would like to find another job where I could make six figures out there, but I am willing to take a pay cut if that means I don't have to live in Yellowknife anymore, because I don't think I can do it anymore, honestly. I don't know how much longer I can spend there. I feel like I've been scared for a while that I'm not going to be able to find the community that I found there, but everywhere I've gone to, well, almost everywhere I've gone to, I've been able to establish some sort of community, not like the one I have up there, and I don't want to leave. If I could bring everyone with me that I love, I would. I would. But it's not realistic, is it? And I guess the part that really stuck with me today was how she was talking about she's proud of me for being able to express my anger not only with her last Friday, but for blowing up on my other therapist this Tuesday. And she was like, as crazy as it sounds, that means that you feel safe with us and that you trust us, because I don't think that you would just blow up on a random person that you don't know and that you don't trust. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And she was like, and because you were able to get angry with us, it has really shown so much growth since you've been here. Like I'm seeing all of the growth that you're experiencing since you've come here, and I'm so proud of you. And I'm sorry for if at any point I made you feel unseen and unheard. And thank you for trusting us enough to be honest with us. So she said, I'm sorry. I see you, and I'm proud of you, and thank you. And I don't think I've ever had anybody thank me for being mad at them. So that kind of just stopped me in my tracks. But then it made me emotional, because it's like I would like that to be a normal reaction. Not that people need to thank me every time I blow up at them, but it's nice to know that it didn't taint the way that they view me. And I think that that will help me moving forward, being comfortable and being able to express my anger, and knowing that the people that actually care about me aren't going to see me as a villain for expressing anger, because I'm still very new to this. But I don't want to get cancer because I'm keeping my anger in. So yeah, that was Celebrity Rehab Day 31, and it's officially been a month, bitch.